This much noise for a rider who hasn't even lined up on a MotoGP grid yet. Why? Because of the background he is coming from, because of the promises he delivered, because of the speed that rewrote an entire paddock's physics, because in Worlds BK, he didn't win races, he destroyed eras. Toprak Razgatlioglu didn't climb to MotoGP. He dragged Yamaha back into the global MotoGP conversation simply by saying yes. He walks in with 3 world titles, with braking zones that split reality in half, with a front-end religion that engineers still fail to describe with mathematics, and with a reputation built not on hype, but on outbreaking entire species of riders. That is why the paddock cannot stop speaking his name. And yet, he himself says nothing. He arrives in Valencia for the 2025 postseason test. No theatrics, no interviews filled with promises, no emotional speeches about proving people wrong. He sits on the Yamaha V4 like a storm sitting on the crest of a wave. Silent, calm, almost too calm. Because the day Yamaha announced that their future weapon would be born with a V4 heart, the world looked at the data, then looked at the calendar, then asked a single question. Is Toprak Razgatlioglu stepping into MotoGP at the perfect moment or the worst one? Carlo Pernat called it a risk. Jorge Lorenzo said Yamaha must help him understand Michelin. Jack Miller felt sorry for him before his first laps. Fabio Quartararo watched him at Valencia and quietly admitted he had underestimated him before. And then came the manager's statement. Kenan Sofuoglu didn't shout, he didn't defend, he didn't hype. He simply dropped a quiet line that hit harder than any press room theater. He'll surprise everyone, not by riding differently, not by adapting magically, not by reinventing himself, but because nobody believed he could transfer his front-end chaos into MotoGP's Michelin universe. And yet, according to Sofuoglu, he will. He finished the Valencia test in P18, 1.3 seconds from the top, 53 laps. A day interrupted by weather, a machine that is still a prototype learning to breathe. Was it disappointing? Was it encouraging? Was it a warning? Was it nothing? Nobody knows, not yet. But one question hangs in the air like a blade left floating. Is the silence coming from disappointment, or is it the silence that comes right before violence? Comment below your first reaction. Toprak Razgatlioglu is not entering MotoGP like a rookie. He is entering like a man carrying an empire on his back. The numbers alone reveal the weight. 3 Worlds BK crowns, multiple title fights against Jonathan Rea, the man who dethroned Kawasaki's decade of dominance, the man BMW trusted enough to rebuild their entire WSBK future, the man who walked away from Yamaha years earlier, calling their inline 4 not enough for his style. And then he comes back to Yamaha when Yamaha decides to burn the past and build something new. The irony is ruthless. He refused the old Yamaha because it couldn't match him. He accepts the new Yamaha because Yamaha finally accepted that they must match him. That alone speaks more truth than any interview. The transformation of Yamaha from an inline 4 legacy to a V4 experiment is not simply a technical evolution. It is an admission. We cannot survive the next MotoGP era without becoming something harsher. Who better to lead that transformation than the most violent breaker of his generation? But the move is not fairy tale. There are scars already forming. The Michelin tires do not behave like Pirellis. Worlds BK braking relies on a different load path, different carcass behavior, different feedback language. Even Toprak admitted after his first private Aragon trial, slowly I realized my braking style won't work. That is not panic, that is honesty, and that honesty is exactly what convinced Yamaha they picked the right rider. Because great champions don't cling to habits, they adapt to survive. The paddock, however, is not patient. Every eye is on him. Every whisper carries a story. Every camera waits for the moment he makes a mistake big enough to turn into a headline. The Valencia test didn't help. He was a little bit sad. Not because of speed, not because of the bike, but because he said goodbye to a paddock he ruled for more than 6 years. Toprak moves with loyalty. He does not abandon things lightly, which makes his MotoGP switch even heavier. Meanwhile, Yamaha knows they cannot give him a 2026 bike that behaves like a prototype learning to walk, because the MotoGP field is not forgiving. Marc Marquez is still the sun around which all chaos orbits. Ducati still has the strongest base. Aprilia is coming into 2026 with teeth sharpened. KTM is confused, but dangerous. Fabio Quartararo will not tolerate another season of suffering. Pedro Acosta is searching for his first win like a wolf locked inside a cage. Into this madness walks Toprak, a man used to fighting one rival at a time, now facing 17. A man used to long break zones, facing tracks that demand patience. A man used to rear-end theatrics, now forced to understand Michelin's absolute authority on mid-corner load. The build-up is not gentle. It is cruel. It is precise. It is engineered to test his limits before the lights ever turn green. And yet, every expert keeps circling back to the same sentence. When the time comes, we'll demand more from him. Sofuoglu's calm confidence rattles more cages than any hype machine, because if his manager isn't worried, maybe the rest of the grid should be. Sepang 2026 will not hide anything. A 3-day test in the heat of Malaysia exposes everything: front-end technique, tire understanding, rider adaptation, engine delivery, physical endurance. 2 months from now, we will know if Toprak is struggling or if he is simply sharpening a blade nobody has seen yet. And as the buildup grows tighter, one question keeps stinging the paddock. Did Yamaha recruit a risk or a revolution waiting to erupt? Comment if you think Toprak adapts or collapses. This is the part nobody wants to admit. His silence is hurting people more than his lap time. Toprak Razgatlioglu is not tweeting motivational lines. He isn't giving interviews filled with excuses. He isn't performing for the cameras. He isn't excited publicly. He isn't terrified publicly. He is simply silent. And when a rider who has lived his entire career in the spotlight suddenly becomes this quiet, the paddock starts imagining things. Is he disappointed? Is he underwhelmed by the Yamaha? Is he emotionally struggling after leaving WSBK? Is he secretly regretting the move? Is he already feeling the mismatch of style versus Michelin? Is he planning something? Is he hiding his true pace? Is he rebuilding technique like a monk sharpening knives in the dark? The silence becomes the story. Not the bike, not the lap time, not the data, because silence can be sharper than slander. And this silence is slicing the paddock into 2 belief systems. System 1, Toprak will fail because MotoGP destroys style specialists. These people watched the Valencia test and saw nothing special. They believe Michelin will suffocate his braking. They believe Yamaha's V4 is too raw. They believe WSBK habits cannot survive MotoGP physics. System 2, Toprak is the eye of the storm before a brutal arrival. These people know champions don't show their teeth on day 1. They believe he is calculating. They believe he is downloading data like a machine. They believe he is about to weaponize his style in a way Michelin hasn't seen yet. And Yamaha? They sit somewhere between fear and hope. Because Toprak is not just a rider for them, he is the defining bet of their entire 2026 identity. If he shines, they are back in the elite conversation. If he collapses, they will face a storm far harsher than 2025. The collapse here is not Toprak's. It is the collapse of expectation around him. Expectations built on fantasy, not information. Expectations built on Worlds B, not MotoGP logic. Expectations built on fans wanting instant spectacle instead of long evolution. Toprak is not collapsing. The noise around him is. And the question now is simple and brutal. Is this calm the result of hidden disappointment? Or preparation for an arrival that will shake Sepang like an earthquake? Comment your angle. Win or lose, Toprak will make 2026 unforgettable. He will push Yamaha. He will challenge Michelin. He will fight physics. He will learn. He will fall. He will rise. And he will drag every camera in MotoGP back toward him, whether he wants it or not. Valencia was not the truth. Sepang will be. And when those 3 days in February arrive, MotoGP will finally see what his silence meant. Was it disappointment? Or was it the quiet breath taken right before the blast? From now, where does this put them? The time will tell us. Comment below, Subscribe for more savage breakdowns.